So the other day I was talking to a broker that mentioned something that inspired today's video. By the way, Manuel here, founder and brand strategist over at Square One Group, where our mission is really help you identify your expertise. And we really do that by positioning agents as the authority to a niche. That said, I was having a conversation with this broker the other week, and he said something that totally raised my eyebrows. Just for context, this broker managed an office and had a bunch of agents that really reported to him. And we got to talking about what we do and the idea of niching and positioning. He was 100% in agreement with me about the niching part, but what he said after that kind of threw me for one. He said that he wanted to be the authority, but didn't want to be the face. And that really resonated with me because the idea made absolutely no sense in my mind. I mean, the strategy just didn't connect in my head. Positioning as an authority is really based on influence. So the idea that he wanted to attract leads and prospects to him without really fixing the positioning problem completely baffled me. And that really made me pose the question, can you be an authority or have influence without having really done the work to garner it? Really pointed today's video. Anywho, I wanted to pose this question because in reality, the same question, it's kind of regurgitated in many different forms, and the multiple conversations I have with a lot of real estate agents that really want the fruit but aren't willing to plant the tree, aka they're not willing to put in the work. You know, they want to make $1 million, but they aren't really willing to get their nails dirty. So this particular topic will resonate with a lot of agents that are finding themselves really struggling in their real estate business, really looking for some shortcuts. Okay, that said, there is a bunch of sociological and psychological research that went into answering the question for today's video. So as always, I did all the hard work for you. If you could do me a quick favor, click that like button, the subscribe button, the bell icon, show YouTube some love so they can in turn show off some love. And we can continue to kind of, give you the Cliff Notes version of all this really juicy stuff for sales and marketing as it pertains to your real estate business. So thank you in advance. Okay, so in order for me to really answer the question, I want to take a look at a few points. Okay, so the first way I kind of envisioned and kind of mapped this out in my mind as I was doing all this research was I wanted to answer the question, what exactly is authority? And the reality is authority is actually broken down into 3 main categories. Now, the 3 categories are essentially legitimized by time. And an example of this can be maybe a historical personality, like George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. They were legitimatized over a specific time span. Now, the second way to kind of garner authority is by being appointed authority. Now, an example of this, of course, is like being a public figure, or, you have status in a corporate environment, like you're a boss or a supervisor or a manager. This is the appointment of authority by an office. Now, the third way is through charisma or by being charismatic, which is really based on a leader's personal qualities. Now, if you're in real estate, this is pretty much arguably where you fall into. This is the category that you kind of funnel yourself into if you're trying to position yourself as an authority. So let me very quickly, highlight this little box here. Okay, so now that we've identified what is an authority, or really how to garner authority, then the next question to really be asked is, how can an authority have influence? And I'm going to draw an arrow going straight from charisma kind of to these next set of lines, or these next set of boxes right here, because this is really the next level. Through influence, you build authority. Now, one of the ways to really have that influence is really through relationships. Well, just simply based on the development of sheer emotional intelligence, you'll be able to garner influence. Think about your relationships with your family or your friends or your coworkers. Just by knowing someone, you have influence over that person. But the constraint here is that you have to know that person. On the flip side, the other way to garner influence is via expertise. And really, this is what we preach. This is the main thing that we focus really with all of our clients on. We try to help them provide value about their expertise. Now, expertise within a particular discipline or domain can really help achieve you as being the authority as an expert. But the main thing in this type of influence is that you have to be able to share your expertise in order to gain that influence. In other words, you're giving away value in order to gain authority, which then led me down this really random rabbit hole and really wonder, how can you have influence without really and truly being an authority? Or in other words, what this broker was trying to do, he wanted to attract all of like this new business through leads and prospects without actually having to share his expertise. And the really cool part is there's actually a way of achieving this, but caveat to this is that it is far more difficult. So check this out. Now, you can have influence without being an authority or really sharing your expertise by doing a few things. Really checking all these boxes that you're seeing on my screen here. 1, you need to have a good reputation. 2, you have to be very diligent. 3, you have to be a good role model or a good person. And 4, you really need to be a good motivator. Now, really, how can you achieve these 4 items without having to do the work of promoting them? Well, this means that you essentially need to have other people do this work for you. You need other people to preach the good word of how great you are, how much of an influence you are. Well, the answer is actually really just through referrals. If you did a good job, they'll preach your good reputation. They'll talk about how diligent you are in really helping them work a deal. Being a good role model, or in this case, an excellent agent for other agents to aspire to, and really being a motivator, aka a leader, really taking charge of whatever deal that you're trying to negotiate for your clients. But here is the catch though. In order for you to get referrals to do this, you have to do one thing, which is you have to have done business. But wait, there's more. So check this out. The thing with referrals is that while they're great, it's really just, it's a numbers game. That's all this boils down to. Now, depending on how deep your sphere is and how many deals that you've closed per month or just in general, you're going to need to have quite a bit of business in order to get some consistent and predictable numbers in order to have this, influence and authority without actually having done the work of building that influence and authority. So what I always like to do is I like to work backwards. It's probably the easiest way to really break down these numbers. So let's start with some of the basic fundamental data that's really out there in the market. And that is this idea of 80%. 80% is essentially the conversion rate from referrals. All right, now I'm saying 80, this is the numbers that go across the board for, it's kind of an average of millennials, Gen Xers, boomers, it's all around 80%, which is not, it's a great number, but it's not 100%. Still, 80% is really, really good. Now, let's say that you wanna close 24 deals next year, right? Which essentially equates to 2 deals per month, all right? Well, now here's the kicker. Of the 2 deals per month, we know at an 80% conversion rate, which essentially means that it takes about 2 referrals to get 1 deal. We essentially need 2 referrals to get 1 deal. Now, if we do the math here, it's really pretty simple. I'm not making this rocket science here, guys. 2 referrals, or I should say 4 referrals per month equates to about 48 really referrals per year. Now, in a perfect world, it would be awesome to get 1 client to refer you 48 deals or 48 potential deals per year. But, let's be honest, this isn't a perfect world. This is real life. The realistic truth, the real life fact is 1 client will likely refer you 1 deal per year, or if you're lucky, maybe 2 deals per year. Long story short, this essentially means that you would have to have closed, and I'm gonna kind of put this arrow down here, you would have to have closed 48 deals to be able to get to this number of 24 deals based off of referrals, which then leads me to the point of kind of this whole dissertation, which is, are you doing that kind of production in the first place? And keep in mind too, 48 deals to get, that many referrals from clients, that's quite a lengthy amount of time that it's going to take to really build up that stockpile of people that you've helped and helped successfully in order to really build this predictability of making sure that they're going to refer you business so that you can have 24 deals within the year. And that's also to add that, all of these 48 deals, they're not going to give you one new deal every year. If that were the case, it'd be super amazing, but that's not the case. They might pass along a family member or a friend, but it might take a year or two. So in reality, this 48, number of deals that you need to achieve in order to get this authority positioning without having to actually have done the work probably is a heck of a lot higher. Which really brings this whole conversation, this whole dissertation, full circle, and it really, brings us back to that initial question: can you be an authority without being the face, without having done the work, without having to provide your expertise? And really, the honest answer is no. Like, in order to achieve this kind of status, you have to have done the reps. You have to have done this many deals under your belt. You have to have, X amount of transactions. You have to have a pretty significant amount of volume that you've done in terms of real estate transactions in order to garner this, pseudo authority without actual influence, or influence and authority without actually having done the work. And simply put, this is my long-winded answer of saying that there are no shortcuts to digital marketing. To be able to create a predictable business with regards specifically to digital marketing, for that matter, like social media, like paid ads, like all this other fun stuff, like, you're gonna have to do the work. You have to be consistent in providing value. You need to keep flexing that expertise to really drive these inbound leads, these inbound prospects into your pipeline. And it's just the reality of it. This is just how the game works, guys. Otherwise, the only other thing I can offer you, if you don't want to do this, is go out there and grind on the phones, hit the streets, grind the numbers and play the game that way. Anyway, I hope this is making sense to you guys. And if you have any questions about this, go ahead and drop them in the comments section below. Look, for many of you guys watching this, putting yourself out there, on camera, it's really a scary thing. It's a scary feeling to have. It's a hard pill to swallow for many of you because, hey, look, I talked to many of you. I've heard a ton of excuses, and it really just boils down to the exact same thing. Like, there's a underlying fear of putting yourself out there because of how you're going to be judged. Like, at the end of the day, guys, if you want to achieve success in your real estate career utilizing digital marketing efforts, there's no really vanilla way of putting it aside from you have to create content. You have to put yourself in front of your camera phone or a camera, and you need to become the face of your brand. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, here's another really cool one right here for you to check out. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.